Hello, fifth grade. Today's English lesson is all about when we write titles of books, newspapers, songs, magazines, short stories, poems. How do we write them? We know that they're special and that we need to, write them in a certain way. So today we're going to practice and remind ourselves, well, how do we do that, and how do we know what to use? So I'm going to walk across here. All right. So first, if you open up your hardcover book to page 198, this is where you're going to, for sure, find this as a good reminder. So Mrs. Ritter's getting all this off of page 198 in your English hardcover book. So please go back to that too if you don't feel like watching the video again after this. Okay. So first, we're going to look at titles of books, magazines, newspapers, and movies. So if you're writing about any of those things and you want to reference them, say, I just watched the movie Voyage of the Dawn Treader, and it was the best movie I'd ever seen. So if I was writing the Voyage of the Dawn Treader, okay, because I have practiced this, of course, I already know that I need to capitalize the beginning of the title. Okay, so that's why this "the" is capitalized. Voyage has to be capital. Dawn and Treader. Those are the major words in the title. But the "of" and the, those are minor, tiny words that they're like in the middle of it, and they don't need to be capitalized. The only reason the is because that's the title of the beginning of the title, okay, of the movie. So usually if you're typing this out, okay, so if you're typing, okay, all we would do to this, we wouldn't have to underline it. We would just turn it in italics. So if you would highlight it with your cursor, your mouse, and then you go up to where it says bold, italics, or underline, B, I, or U, and you would click the I for italics, and it would slant it sideways. Okay, so while you're reading, sometimes if they reference a book or a movie or a magazine or newspaper, you should notice that it's italicized. Okay, so if you're typing it out, you put it in italics, and you still capitalize the major words. If you can't write in italics, which most of us can't, or just haven't practiced enough, then if not typing, then I would write it out, Voyage of the Dawn Treader, and then I would underline it. Okay, if not typing, you underline. Okay, so this whole section is underlined. So just underline it once. I guess I should just underline it once. Okay, so it's as simple as that. So if you're talking about movie, newspapers, magazine, or book titles, you would underline them if we're writing them out. So in your work today, for the practice, you'll want to underline those types of things. Okay. Now in your work too, they're going to tell you if it's a movie or a newspaper, an article, whatever. So you don't have to guess. But if it is, like, look down here, here's the second type of things. If it's a short story, like the stories in our hardcover reading book, if they're songs, if they're articles like from a newspaper, the smaller sections, book chapters, or even poems, then they get quotation marks. So you're still, and you need to capitalize major words. So just like you know, the top where you capitalize the major words and underline. This time you capitalize the major words but put quotes around it. So for example, let's see, what's a poem? That's interesting. Rudolph is tired of the city. That's a poem title. So watch. So Rudolph is tired of the city. Now, I'm going to show you. We need to capitalize the major words first, right? So we want to capitalize Rudolph. Is tiny, it's in the middle, so we don't need to capitalize that, but tired is a major word. Of is small, the is small, so don't worry about it. But city is bigger. Okay, so all those tiny words that are maybe 2 or 3 letters long, you leave lowercase. And that's especially if they're in the middle of the words, the major words. So here we go. So we write it. Rudolph is tired of and then city. So after we capitalize the major words, now we put quotations around it. And that helps us to remember that it is a title of something. And it would be considered either short story, song, article, book chapters, or poems. So that is your task, but I do ask you please write in your neatest handwriting because we still need to practice that. Okay? And what I'd like you to do is you will be working in your hardcover notebook, your hardcover English book. So we're going to do page 199, and you're going to do numbers 9 through, they say 25, but what it is, it's numbers 9 through 17, and then you're going to do the paragraph at the bottom. And you follow all the directions. So you're going to need to write each title correctly with the correct capitals and everything, and then you need to either have it underlined or quotations around it based on what it is. So please use hardcover book page 198 as a reminder. Oh, books, magazines, newspapers, movies, they get underlined. Short stories, songs, articles, book chapters, poems, they get quotations. So everything, like I said, on the right, it tells you if it's a book, a song, an article. So if it says newspaper article, that goes down here because it still says article. It's just from a newspaper. Okay? So please, when you're done, take a picture. This should be done in your English notebook or on a piece of paper if you can't find your English notebook. So please take your time with it and write your titles correctly.